Welcome to the ODDSBREAKER'S #1 place for shared, sharp betting information.
Welcome back to podcast 43 of 2020. I'm your host, Kiev O'Neill. You can follow me on Twitter at OBKiev. Follow us at The ODDSBREAKERS and follow us on social media / The ODDSBREAKERS. This episode is being brought to you by Kelly in Vegas Proxy Service. If you are interested in getting into the Super Contest or the Circa Sports Million Contest, please visit kellyinvegas.com and make an appointment. As of right now, there are only 446 entries in the Circa where they have a guaranteed $3 million payout. Their overlay is $2,554,000. Okay? I'm not sure this is going to get to 3,000 entrants where they would actually break even. And I think they're going to be paying more money out than they bring in. So there's going to be some positive EV here. I highly recommend you get into this contest, especially because college football has so many questions around that as well. They also have a nice Survivor contest. And, of course, the Westgate Super Contest has always been for the best of the best. So check out Kelly in Vegas and make 2020 a great end of the year. If you'd like to help us out with our costs and sponsor the website and podcast, we would love to help you out. Please visit theoddsbreakers.com and become a member. For $17.99 a month, you can get my plays and premium plays before the line moves. If nothing else, please visit theoddsbreakers.com and become a free picks newsletter subscriber. Well, coming at you early this week because we recorded a nice fantasy football podcast. This one is all about fantasy football, running back share, and handcuffs. It should be some good value for you getting ready for your fantasy draft this week. Really important to know who you're supposed to handcuff your running backs with. Really important to know which running backs are going to get the brunt of the carries. Also, we mentioned about running backs that will be getting the passes. So very important stuff there. Hopefully this podcast will be very beneficial. I actually think that the running back share and handcuff podcast is just as beneficial as literally ranking your top running backs, top receivers, top quarterbacks, etc. I think this podcast is very important, and hopefully it pays dividends. D Nasty is back. Really excited to have him on to cover that. Before we get into that, just a quick UFC recap. Had a great UFC weekend, 2-0 in premium plays, and we gave out a free long shot play for the undercard at plus 415. It was the first fight of the actual event where Trevin Jones was a plus 415 dog to Timur Valiev, and Trevin Jones won. So he almost got his butt kicked in the first round, and he survived it and took Timur down, but the good news is that he caught him later in the second round with a nice left hook, and a plus 415 dog hit hard. One thing about UFC is that the undercard is for dogs. Just remember that, because there's not a ton of information on these fighters. They're coming from different federations into the UFC. So, you know, it's hard to kind of gauge how good their opponents were compared to the others, which means that you're always going to lean towards the dogs. I think from now on, I'm going to give a best dog bet of the undercard, hopefully every episode. It's just been so profitable. Some of them might end up being premium, and I'll have to give you a different one. But either way, I believe that the undercard has a ton of value, and we've found a ton of value with it. So great UFC weekend. And football is just right around the corner. Real excited to get into that. Hopefully you listened to the last episode with David Behrman talking some NFL lines. We're probably going to reinvestigate these NFL lines coming a little bit closer to when the season gets started here. So really excited for some football. It's time to get some sports back in our lives and forget about how bad 2020 treated us all. Without further ado, let's get into fantasy football running back share with our guy D Nasty. All right, and now is time for a little bit of fantasy football. We have our guy, Fantasy Master D Nasty, back to discuss running back carry percentages and running back battles here. I think this is going to be a very beneficial episode for you all, because when you're drafting these running backs, you have to know what percent of the carries that they're going to have. It's really going to affect your team throughout the year. Dave, how the heck you been doing, man?
Awesome. Glad to be back.
Yeah, I know we took a couple weeks off because of a lot of uncertainty here, but all of a sudden they're talking about filling up the stadiums even to 22% capacity, according to the Kansas City Chiefs. And, that's some positive news here. So I'm pretty happy about that, man.
I am as well, but it could be a big mess like baseball, so we'll see.
Yeah, you never know. Obviously, there's no bubble, so, I do expect some people to get sick. Now, the question is how much they're going to pull back, and with a lot of tests, a lot of people come up positive, and maybe it will screw up some fantasy stuff. So we hope not. But our recommendation, I guess, we've talked about this a few times, Dave, is to have 5 or 6 extra roster spots to at least give you a chance to handcuff some guys. And it's not going to be perfect, especially if the first string, second string, and maybe even the third string gets sick. But, you'll have hopefully some other running backs and some more IR spots to try to make up for it. What are you thinking about the year?
Yeah, definitely. You got to pump up those IR spots in all your leagues, because the COVID stuff, there's already a couple big names that are off the list already due to the COVID. So, and some of the guys that are getting sick too out there, especially like baseball, if one guy gets infected, that can bring down 5 or 10 people on that team. So you definitely want to have the extra IR spots and the extra roster spots.
Absolutely. And throughout the year, Dave's going to be here every Monday night to broadcast our show for Tuesday morning to talk about your waiver wire, to talk about your injuries, to talk about your sleepers for the next week's matchups, and talk about your busts for the next week's matchups, Dave. It's that time of year. I'm pretty excited about it, man.
I am as well. This is one of my favorites, is talking about the running backs.
All right, let's get right into these running backs here. I mean, we got some serious battles going on in these teams, and some is pretty cut and dry and some isn't. We have the Green Bay Packers first. We're going to start with the NFC North, Dave. I'm going to let you take it away because you are the Packer man.
I love it, man. Thanks. Starting off with my favorite team here, Green Bay Packers. We were going to do a video tonight. Unfortunately, you can't see my sweet Southern Cal Aaron Rodgers jersey that I have on right now.
Boo.
And my Packers hat that I'm rocking as well. But starting off the Packers, though, backfield's going to look like this. Aaron Jones is going to be the main guy. I have A.J. Dillon as the second in command, and then I have Jamal Williams as the third string. But Aaron Rodgers, I plan to get him to get about 70-80% of the carries. He's going to be their main guy still, definitely. And he's in a contract year, too. They're looking at a contract extension, they said. But he's come to camp in great shape, and he's been working out like a beast. So you can expect a pretty good year from him. And then A.J. Dillon, they've been very impressed with him this week. All I've read so far is that the coaches have been very impressed with him. His physicality is just off the charts, they said, too, and his legs are just huge. So they're very impressed with him. So I would say he's going to get 10 to 15% of the carries, and then Jamal will get whatever he doesn't. So I think him and Jamal will be sharing those other 20 to 30% of carries that Aaron Jones doesn't get.
Yeah, I'm not too far off you. Jamal, I have Jamal 5 to 10%. I have Aaron Jones at 65%, okay? So I think that's fair. I had him a little bit higher when we talked, and I looked at his share from last year, and it was about 65%. AJ Dillon is going to get about 20 to 25% of the carries, Dave, I would think, and probably some TD touches, right?
Yeah, definitely goal line carries. He's a big guy, so they're definitely going to be rerunning him on the goal line.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so Aaron Jones, did you warm up on him a little bit since we talked about the draft?
A little bit, but I still think he's not going to get the 19 touchdowns like he did last year. So, but I'm warming up to him. But I think A.J. Dillon, I've been hearing only good things about him this whole week. So I'm actually warming up to him even more.
All right, man, but don't remember not to buy into the hype. There's nothing that these people have to talk about, and just like Darwin Thompson last year. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And he's being talked about again, of course, because we have some obviously news to get to when we get to Kansas City. Well, with the Minnesota Vikings, Dave, I have Dalvin Cook at 70% of the carries. And I have Alexander Madison at upgraded from last year, 25% of the carries. And I have a question mark by Amir Abdullah. I didn't, he didn't get nearly as much touches as I thought he would last year, but Cook lasted. And he had almost 18 attempts per game last year. But I have concerns about Cook holding out still. You could pull a Le'Veon Bell on us at any point. And you know what? He can also have the same excuses like, you know what? If you're not going to pay me, COVID's going around. I wonder if anyone's going to drop the bomb on us. So this could be one of those situations. What's your mix with the Vikings?
Pretty close to you as well. I like Dalvin Cook 70 to 80% again for him. Alexander Madison, I think they're going to try and keep Cook fresh. If he doesn't hold out, like you said, that is a worry for me as well. But he's going to get, I'd say, at least 15% of the carries from Madison. And then I have Mike Boone as my third. It's going to be really between him and Abdullah. So I think those guys are going to get the remaining carries. They're not going to see as much, though. I think the main carries are going to go to Cook and Madison, though.
Yeah, and Mike Boone I thought about, and I probably should have put a mix between Abdullah and Boone. I've done that with a couple other teams, but can't disagree with you there. It looks like we're kind of right on spot there. Here's the big thing. If you're going to have a draft before, let's say even like 10 days before, a week before, unless you're like a day or two before the season starts, you draft Dalvin Cook, come back with Alexander Madison in the 6th or 7th round, even maybe. I got to tell you, someone's going to try to take that shot from you. They're going to try to take him. So be careful, Dalvin Cook there. Next team we have is the Chicago Bears, buddy, and their running game didn't really do a whole lot last year, but David Montgomery did get a lot of rushes last year. Tariq Cohen really didn't, but Tariq Cohen did get over 6 targets per game. He was like 6.5 targets per game, so he was pretty heavily involved in the passing game. Unfortunately, Mitch Trubisky would throw it 10 feet over his short little head, and and that didn't work out so well. We'll see if Nick Foles has to step in and do a little bit better unless Trubisky gets better. 75% I have for Montgomery, 20% for Cohen, and the rest of the whoever decides to become third string, which I don't even have a name yet, is the other 5. What are your thoughts?
I have Montgomery at 80%. If for carry-wise, receiving-wise, third down-wise, though, I'd probably bump up, lower that a little bit to 75, like you said. I think Tariq's going to get a lot more receptions this year. They're going to be looking to get him the ball more out of the backfield. And then Ryan Nall I have as the third guy. He'd be the one that mops up the rest of that 5% as well.
Ryan Nall?
Yeah, Ryan Nall.
Yeah, we'll see. There's a couple other bums that they're scraping off the heap, so we'll see what happens there. Kerryon Johnson, what happened to that guy? Like I said on our last episode, he pissed in somebody's Wheaties. So it's 45% I have him off the bat with DeAndre Swift at 40. Bo Scarborough's 10 to 15% ish, and whoever else. But I'll tell you, I wouldn't be shocked if DeAndre Swift goes above Kerryon Johnson, Dave. What are your thoughts?
I'm going to be different on this one, actually, Kiev. I like Kerryon Johnson at 60%. They said he's healthy now. With the short preseason and mini camps, it's going to be harder for the rookies to get up to speed. If you look for DeAndre Swift to take over as the season goes on, though, I definitely think DeAndre Swift could be up to 60 or 70% by mid-year. But to start off the season, I think for at least the first 2 to 3 weeks, even maybe the first 3 to 4 weeks, I think Kerryon's going to be about 60%, Swift will be about 30%, and then Scarborough will be about 5 to 10%.
Yeah, I'm just going to say it's hard to predict that. I think I like Kerryon Johnson. I think he's going to make a run all year for share. I think it's going to be between 40 and 45 for both these guys all year, unless, barring one of them, gets injured here. My problem is who do you draft first, Dave?
Yeah, that's the tough thing. Swift has more upside, so I'd go with Swift if you're drafting for the upside in a dynasty league. If you're just drafting for this year, I'd still probably say Swift because by mid-year, he's going to be the one that's probably taking over with his athletic ability.
All right. Well, I have them pretty much bumped up in the probably lower 20s just because of that crazy situation, So I think a lot of people are not exactly going to take any first 5-round shots on either of these guys. So
exactly,
that's a tough one. All right, let's move on to the NFC South. We have the New Orleans Saints. Dave, take it away.
All right, great. For New Orleans Saints, the main guy is going to be Kamara. So he's definitely going to be the main guy there. And then we do have, second on the list is Murray. So I think Kamara is still going to get 75% of the carries. Murray, he's going to get about 20%. And then we have Ty Montgomery, actually, the old Packer. He'll get about 5%. He's not going to get many carries there with Murray and Kamara. Kamara's going to get a lot more receptions, too. So he's going to be in the backfield a lot more because of his receiving ability as well.
Okay. Well, and I have Alvin Kamara at 70%. That's pretty standard. He should be more of the bell cow there. Latavius Murray is at 25%. Kamara missed a few games last year, and that's why his numbers were a little bit down. And I don't see a really solid third string on this team, Dave.
No, there's really not. Montgomery is the guy that I have pegged maybe as the third, but it's not going to really matter. Murray and Kamara are going to get most of the carries anyways.
Yeah, exactly. Tampa Bay is next, and I have Ronald Jones at 50%, and I have Keyshawn Vaughn at 30%, and I actually have Shady McCoy at 20%. I'm staying. I said last year to stay away from this thing. Obviously, right now I still can't even endorse anything here. We got Tom Brady there now, but Tom Brady's going to be throwing the ball a lot to those massive 5 weapons that they have on offense. As far as receivers and tight ends, 5 or 6 weapons actually now.
Yeah, they got a ton of weapons there now with Gronk.
With Gronk, and they have O.J. Howard still and Cameron Brate, right? 3 tight ends.
Yeah.
Jeez, forget about Evans and Godwin. Oh my goodness, this place is they're just loaded. And I don't know what to do with these guys. What do you think?
Yeah, Tyler Johnson, too, the rookie receiver, too. He's going to get some looks as well. But this one is actually kind of like the Detroit situation. Keyshawn Vaughn doesn't have very much time to get up to speed. So I'm going to put Ronald Jones at 60%. The carries to start the year. I'll say Keyshawn Vaughn, 30%. I'm not really a big Shady fan. I think he's more there as just a backup. He'll get some play here and there, but I'm still not very high on Shady. He's getting a little older. I like Dare actually as well. He'll be like a third down back sometimes too. Get some reception on the backfield. So the last 10 to 15% carries, I look to split between Dare and Shady McCoy.
Yeah, Dare was it Ogumbawale or Old Badger? Almost forgot to say his name.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's still lasting. I'm pretty shocked there. He's still there. We'll see if he makes it through the non-preseason. We'll see who a lot of old players are going to get the shaft this preseason, in my opinion. The Atlanta Falcons is next. Dave, take it away.
All right, great. Atlanta Falcons is an interesting one. It's all going to depend on Todd Gurley's health. But mid-year, this could look a lot different than it does now. But right now, Todd Gurley is definitely the number one. I'd say if healthy, there's a big if there. He's going to definitely be 70%, just like in the norm for the starters. And then I have 25% going out to Ito Smith. And then the last 5%, 5 to 10%, is going to be Ito Smith then. Or, sorry, Brian Hill.
Brian Hill, Quadri Allison's there too. I have 60 for Gurley, Ito 20. I just think a little bit lower, Dave, because they know Gurley's knee is kind of shot. And
I would agree with that.
Yeah, and I think they're just going to give Ito. But here's the problem. Ito had injury problems last year. I forgot what it was. It was something pretty major. It took him out. And
for a chunk of the year.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what it was, but Brian Hill got a lot of carries. And this was when Freeman was out, too. It was just a mess out there. But at the same time, the Falcons were really bad with their running backs. You wonder if that's going to improve this year. It's going to take a lot for me to draft Gurley. It would take a lot of teams passing on him for me to do it. So not so high on Gurley as we discussed before, but if he's not what he's supposed to be, Ito Smith could be a great play. If you're drafting Gurley, at least handcuff him. You got to.
Yeah, his handcuff for sure with his health issues.
All right, baby. We're going to end up with the Carolina Panthers here with CMC. 80%. I think that's the highest I go on anybody, really, is 80%, because they do come out for passing plays sometimes, but CMC doesn't go out that much. He's actually the guy in third down getting a lot of passes, but there's garbage time they take him out on too. So I got 80% here. Reggie Bonifant, I have at 15%. Mike Davis, I don't even know if he's. Did I not take that away from last? No, Mike Davis is still there. 5%. I have him. I say you got to handcuff CMC. Here's the thing about that: if he gets hurt, how important is Reggie Bonifant now? I don't know. I think they're going to still continue to have all those plays from the backfield. I think you got to handcuff him with Bonifant, right, Dave?
You do, but I think Davis is right there, though, because when McCaffrey didn't play last year, Davis was the one who spelled him. So I like Davis and Bonifant equally probably for the number 2. I got McCaffrey at about 85%. Like you said, he doesn't really come up very often, and when he does, he's not up for very long either. So him at probably the highest of all any running back at 85%. And then I have Davis and Bonifant splitting the other 15%. It's really hard to tell who would step up, but I think Davis would be the guy for first and second down, and then Bonifant would be more of a third down back.
All right. Well, there you go. We'll think about that. CMC, one thing you have to worry about too is if Carolina's as bad as they're supposed to be, you wonder if he gets shut down on week 15, 16. If there's no, let's just say there's no fans there. If that's the case, it's not like fans bought tickets, right? They might think like, well, we don't need to play our starters. That's going to be another interesting thing to this year. So CMC is for sure the number 1 pick. He's going to get you to the playoffs. Just have a backup plan, if there's a case where he gets benched week 16 or week 15 if you make it that far. San Francisco 49ers, we're going to the NFC West next, and Dave knows that I love this guy, and he probably doesn't. Raheem Mostert, I have at 65%. I have Tevin Coleman at 25%, and Jeffrey Wilson and Jerick McKinnon. Poor Jerick McKinnon. The injury took him out of contention for the first 2 running backs. We thought, I think at this time last year, right, that McKinnon was going to be a starter. Or was that
exactly?
Or was that the year before? I think it was last year.
2 years ago, actually.
That was 2 years ago. Okay, so McKinnon just always gets the shaft. Raheem Mostert, fantastic in the playoffs. Fantastic towards the end of the season. Kind of took over a little bit. Tevin Coleman was banged up, and then he ended up playing in the Super Bowl, but it was still the Mostert show. I think that Mostert benefits from it, man. 65-25. What do you think?
I'm not as high as him as you know. Mostert I have at 55%. I got Coleman at 45%. Kyle Shanahan still likes Coleman a lot from his Atlanta days. He could be the starter by the mid-year, I think, if Mostert gets hurt or if he doesn't perform. So I'm definitely a little higher on Coleman, and then you are probably. And then there's Jerick McKinnon, and then Jeffrey Wilson, too, who we kind of forget about, too. He actually, when he played 2 years ago when all the running backs were injured, he put up some nice numbers, too, when he played. So McKinnon and Wilson's going to be close for the third spot for them to get some carries.
Yeah, so you're probably more like 50, 40, like 42, 43, and the other ones can share it. Yeah, something like that. Okay. Seattle Seahawks, take it away.
All right. Well, this one is actually a big mess. Seahawks is probably one backfield you want to stay away from, but Chris Carson's definitely going to be the guy there. So he's going to be their number 1 if healthy. He had some injuries last year as well. Rashard Penny's still on the PUP list, the PUP list, so there's no telling on when he's going to come back or if he's going to be healthy or not. They did sign Carlos Hyde, so definitely Chris Carson's going to be 60 to 65%. So he's going to be up there. Hyde or Penny, depending on if Penny's back, but I'm probably going to say Hyde right now is going to be the other 20 to 25%. And then Travis Homer they still have too as well, and they did draft DJ Dallas too. So those other 2 running backs can get a few carries as well, depending on the health of Rashard Penny.
Yeah, I agree with you. Chris Carson I have at 65, and hopefully he stays healthy. But Rashad Penny I have at 15. Carlos Hyde and DJ Dallas is a big question. I personally don't think Rashad Penny's that good. I think Carlos Hyde is better. I think Carlos Hyde is going to get that. Rashad Penny was drafted way too high from the Mountain West, in my opinion. I can't handcuff though. I don't think I can. It's worth having Penny or Hyde or DJ Dallas when you don't really know. This one I struggle with. It's kind of like if you're going to draft Chris Carson, he's going to be a little bit later of a pick because you can't handcuff him. And you just kind of hope for the best. You hope to learn who's really the second string and maybe pick him off waivers. You agree with that?
I do agree with that, yeah. This backfield is kind of a mess. Same with the 49ers. There's really no way you can handcuff that one either because they have so many different running backs there, and they give the rock to so many different ones there too. So, yeah, this one's definitely one hard one to handcuff.
Well, let me give you a harder one then. Why don't you go talk about the Los Angeles Rams, Dave?
Thanks. So the Rams is actually another difficult backfield. We have three potential starters here in Cam Akers, Darrell Henderson, and Malcolm Brown. I do have Akers as a starter. I got him at 50%. And then the other 25% is going to be split up between Darrell Henderson and Malcolm Brown. This backfield should kind of play out over the first couple weeks, though. So by week 3 or 4, you should know who the starter is and who's going to get majority of the carries. But to start out the year, it's definitely going to be a committee here. Akers and then Henderson and Brown. I think Henderson and Akers get majority of the carries and Brown gets some as well. But I think Akers is going to be the lead dog to start out. And I think as the year goes on, I think Akers is probably going to pull away with talent, or if he doesn't know the offense well enough, it might be Henderson actually. So this is one really hard to tell as well.
I think Malcolm Brown was the backup more than Henderson though to Gurley, and he's got the experience and there's no preseason, so that's why I have Malcolm Brown ahead of Akers, 45%, 35%, and 20%. So it looks like we're just flip-flopped. I do agree with you, Dave, that later in the year we expect Cam Akers to take it, right?
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Not wanting to draft these guys, but like later in the 8th or 10th round, I'd probably maybe even 12th round take a flyer with Cam Akers first, right?
Definitely.
All right, Arizona Cardinals, take it away.
All right, sounds good. Well, the guy I really like here is Kenyon Drake. I'd say 70 to 75% for him. He definitely was their lead back last year. He looked really good the last 4 or 5 games of the year after he was traded to them. I do like Kenyon Drake as the lead dog here. Chase Edmonds, I expect him to get the other 15 to 20%. And then Eno Benjamin, a nice rookie, impressive rookie. He can get about 5 to 10% as well with some of those carries.
Yep, and I have the same. I have Kenyon Drake at 75%, Chase Edmonds at 15%, and Eno Benjamin at 10%. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Eno Benjamin. I thought he was overrated in college, but I'll tell you this, Edmonds is very good in my opinion. I remember a couple games he came in and was great. The fact that Kenyon Drake is a disservice to him, but you need to draft Edmonds if you draft Drake, because he is the for sure handcuff for Kenyon Drake, right?
Yeah, when David Johnson struggled last year, Edmonds looked really good, actually. He had, I think, a 3-touchdown game twice, actually, last year. So
then he got hurt.
He got hurt. So, yeah, Chase Edmonds, I do agree. I do like him a lot as well.
All right, well, let's move to the NFC East here. We're going to start with the Philadelphia Eagles here because they were the tops last year, and Miles Sanders is what I have as the bell count. Jordan Howard is gone, 75% of the carries. I actually have Boston Scott next at 10%. And I have at about each 7.5%, or they're going to share 15%, Corey Clement and Michael Warren. I'm concerned about Clement making the team. Michael Warren's kind of like a walk-on too, so no clue there. But I really liked Michael Warren on the Cincinnati Bearcats. I thought he was a beast there. We'll see. I think he would be a potential if you have a very deep roster. Maybe it's a 14-team league or something. Maybe you take him and just see if he does anything week 1 and then drop him. But Miles Sanders for sure. Then I have Boston Scott next. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm right on the same page as you with this one. I do like Miles Sanders a lot. 75% for him, definitely. 15 to 20% for Boston Scott. Like you said, probably Corey Clement or Michael Warren. Either one of those guys could probably get some of those carries as the third running back on that team.
All right. What about the Cowboys?
Cowboys, we all know Zeke's going to get majority of the carries. He's going to be 80% at least. He's going to be probably my second highest running back that I'm going to rate there. And then Tony Pollard is going to be the number 2 there. And then the 3 is going to be kind of up in the air. I have Jordan Chun right now as the third, but I don't think there's going to be many carries for the third down or for the third running back there. I think Zeke's not carrying, Pollard's going to be. So Pollard's going to be getting 15 to 20%. I don't think there's really going to be many carries for the third running back there.
I have it just like you do. I have Zeke at 80 to 85%, Pollard at 15%. Others maybe 5%, but there wasn't much others getting the ball last year. And
no, there's not going to be.
And Zeke's durable. You still got to handcuff Pollard in the 14th round, 13th, 14th round. I mean, if there's a guy that tries to grab him before you, then he's an asshole, and he's going to eventually drop him anyway because Zeke's durable. So if you're paranoid about that, then just let the guy take him, and you're going to eventually get Tony Pollard off waivers anyway. So next one we have, Dave, is the New York Giants, my man, Saquon Barkley. What do you think?
Yeah, Saquon's going to be up there right with Elliott and CMC. He's definitely one of my higher rated backs as well. I got him at 75 to 80%. He's going to be the main guy there. As long as he's healthy, he's going to be the main guy there. Deion Lewis, I have about 15 to 20%. Probably around more around 15%. And then Wayne Gellman, if he even makes the team, he's going to be the last 5%. But I do like Javon Leake as well. There's the rookie they have there. He was awesome at Maryland, so he could actually take that third spot from Gellman very easily.
He came from Maryland with McFarland the same year, the rookie?
No, I'm sorry. He was from a different. So no, that was
okay.
Sorry.
All right, I was like, really? I was like, I didn't remember them with two backs. Okay, no, hey, so agree with you, 80% Saquon. I have 15 exactly on the button with Deion Lewis, Wayne Gallman 5%. Now, it's so sad with running backs in the NFL, how they're treated. Just a couple years ago, Deion Lewis was in a contract dispute, and he pretty much just got dumped by a bunch of people. No one really paid him that much. Tennessee did a little bit and didn't do much and ended up dropping his ass. So that's the story of the running back. Poor Deion Lewis looked so great with the Patriots too, right? He was looked better than he was actually looked at as better than James White. So.
No, actually, that was right. Javon Leake was from Maryland. I just double-checked on that.
Really? He's a rookie this year?
Yeah, rookie.
Oh, no kidding. I don't remember him. That's crazy. All right. Well, so much for me. I guess I didn't pay a ton of attention on 3-win Maryland last year. Whoops. Next team, Washington Redskins. I'll start with this. Adrian Peterson still ticking. Still in my dynasty league. I remember when I made a trade for him 3 years ago, and we're like, well, he's not going to last. Well, he's still there. And guess what happens? Geis gets canned. What a tough thing for Geis owners. I guess he had some domestic abuse going on or something. But who's next? Antonio Gibson, 20%, and Bryce Love, maybe 20%. They have some other guys there too. I'm going to say watch out for Gibson here. And the reason that is because he's fast. He's the second fastest running back coming out of the draft, 4.39, right behind Jonathan Taylor in the 40. He's going to get some gadgets here, kind of be maybe more of like a James White for the Redskins. What are your thoughts?
Mine are a little bit different, actually, on this one. Adrian Peterson, I got about 40 to 45%. And by the way, it's not the Washington Redskins anymore. It's the Washington football team.
Oh, my bad. That's right. That's right. He's sticking it to all of us because we made him change his name, right? Well, we didn't, but, the media made him change his name, so he purposely is not picking a name this year.
Yeah.
Dan Snyder.
And then I have a second one. I had Bryce Love. I'm actually very high on him this year. I think he could actually be the second guy there. So I got him at 25%. And then I do like Gibson as well, but they said he's very raw. He's going to be more of a receiving guy. So I definitely like him, though, as well at 15%. And then we can't forget about Payne and Barber. He'll take the scraps of whatever carries the other guys don't get. But this is definitely a loaded backfield here, and it's going to be hard to tell who's going to be the main guy. But I think by mid-year, Gibson's definitely going to carve out a major role on this team as well.
Well, I disagree that it's loaded. It's loaded with a bunch of meh, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's loaded. But I like Bryce Love, though. I think him and Gibson could be the top two running backs by the end of the year.
Well, geez,
sure.
you've liked Bryce Love since he came in from Stanford, Dave. I remembered some of our tit for tat on that. So we'll see if he actually does anything this year. But this is another backfield that you don't want to exactly draft too early. The Redskins. I mean, God forbid the team will be lucky if they win 5 games. So there you go with them. Let's move into the AFC East. We have the New England Patriots. Woo! Lost everybody. Not no more. They don't even look like the same team anymore, but they do have some of the same backs there. Sonny Michel I have at 60% of the carries. I have James White and Rex Burkhead actually sharing 30%. I think they get 15% apiece. And then whatever in Belichick's mind, could be some guy you never heard of, could be the starter week one. You just don't know about this guy. I have 10% for the others, but once again, this is New England's backfield. Nothing you want to draft too early either, right, Dave?
Exactly. For this one, I have a little bit different. I have Sonny Michel, 45 to 50%. He's still injured. He's not practicing from what I've heard and read. So they're still worried about his injury. So James White definitely moves up the list, and Rex Burkhead. Those guys are going to be at least 30% between those guys. And then Damian Harris, a rookie from last year, they're very high on him as well. I think he could get at least 10%. But you never know backfield in Belichick, so this is just all a crapshoot. So whatever we tell you about the New England backfield, it'll probably be different by week 5 or 6.
Yeah, could be completely different. Unfortunately, Devlin McGregor is gone, so we'll just have to rely on the usual suspects here. Let's look at Buffalo Bills, and why don't you take it away?
Sounds good. This is one of my favorite backfields here. Devin Singletary is one of the guys I liked last year. He's going to be at least 60 to 65%. Zach Moss is going to take some carries away from him, and he's going to fill the Frank Gore role from last year. So he's going to be at least 20%, 20 to 25% here too. And then their third running back is going to be TJ Yeldon, who will get some carries, probably about 5 to 10% if he's lucky.
Yeah, the Buffalo Bills. Devin Singletary, 65, Zach Moss, 20. I'm pretty much on board for what you said there, and I have TJ Yeldon sharing with the others at 15% here. So, I don't know about Moss yet, and I remember you mentioned him. I was really high on Singletary when we had our running back, top 25 running backs for the draft here. I'm still very high on Singletary, but Zach Moss, he's going to definitely get some carries, and if he looks good, they could be starting to move towards more of a share. I'm not super worried about it, though. I'm pretty confident with Devin Singletary is probably end up being a high-end running back 2, maybe low-end running back 1. So there you have it. New York Jets, what do you have?
Jets, okay. Le'Veon Bell, he's definitely going to be the lead guy there, but his health is going to be a concern, and their team is not that very good either, and their line is suspect as well. So I'd say 65% for him. I do like LaMichael Perrine to get about 15 to 20%. They did also sign Frank Gore. He's going to get some carries as well. They said he's going to have a little bit of a share there as well. So I'd say at least 10% for Gore as well.
So they did fix some of their offensive line with the offseason and the draft. Their first pick was an offensive lineman, that big guy from, I think, Louisville that was pushing cars. I can't remember his name offhand. But I have Le'Veon Bell at 70%, LaMichael Perrine at 20%, and Frank Gore and the rest at 10%. But here's the weird thing. I'm not sure if Le'Veon Bell and Adam Gase get along that well. And this could be just one of those things. They get in a massive fight and he gives the ball to Gore all day because he likes Gore. He was in
Miami days.
From the Miami days. Yeah, he likes Gore. They're buddies. I think just even though Frank Gore is that old guy, he's still in the NFL. He might be the guy just because of the locker room situation. I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised. I don't want to draft Le'Veon that high. I'd be real scared to draft Le'Veon that high. It would, especially playing against teams like the Bills and the Patriots and stuff like that. And I do know the Patriots are injured, but the Patriots are still the Patriots, so got to watch out for that. The Miami Dolphins we have last, and I'll start. And I have Jordan Howard with 40% of the carries, but I have Matt Breida with also 40%. And maybe that you give the edge to Howard there. Maybe it's 45-35, whatever. But Breida will make that up for his pass catching, And if it's a PPR league, Dave, I'm drafting Breida. If it's a 1-point PPR league. If it's not a PPR league, I'm drafting Jordan Howard. If it's a half point, that's a tough one. Like we like the half point ones. I'm going to lean towards Breida. I have Myles Gaskin and Patrick Laird sharing the other 10%.
Yeah, I'm pretty close with this one. I got Breida at 50%. I got Jordan Howard at 45. It's a toss-up there, though. Either one of them can rotate, like you said. Breida's definitely the more athletic and the better pass catcher, like you said, too. So, and then the third one for the 5%, I have Patrick Laird and Myles Gaskin as well.
Yep. So we'll see. I do think Jordan Howard will get the TD touches, though. He will get the goal line carries, so that's important, too. Next one we have Kansas City Chiefs. And wow, did this one change a day or two after our podcast ranking the running backs because Damian Williams opted out for this season, and that was pretty shocking to me. I think he's got a little kid or something, a little baby, but that makes Clyde Edwards-Helaire the number one rookie back, in my opinion. He did pull ahead of Jonathan Taylor because of that, but this is still a little bit messy here. I do have him at 55%, but I have DeAndre Washington, who has experience signed. They signed him before the draft, and that's why a lot of people were shocked they took Edwards-Helaire. I have DeAndre Washington at 25% and Darwin Thompson and Darrell Williams sharing the other 20. This is I expect you might be different on this, Dave. What are your thoughts?
I am a little bit different, yeah. This is an interesting backfield as well, like you said. Damian Williams opting out definitely hurt me. I had him in one of my dynasty leagues. But I did have Darrell Williams, who will be the second back here. Edwards-Helaire is going to get 55 to 60% of the carries. I do like Darrell Williams to get at least 20 to 25%. They're very high on him. He's got experience in the offense as well. And then I'd say the last 10 to 15% would go to DeAndre Washington and Darwin Thompson.
All right, good call. Let's move along here for time's sake. But Denver Broncos, Melvin Gordon, I'm guessing you have him on top. What are your thoughts?
I do. I have Melvin Gordon only by just a little, though, 55%. And then have Philip Lindsay at 45%. And then the rest, the third down back, which is not going to get many carries, I have at the last 5% as well.
Maybe like Rice Freeman or Levante Bellamy, maybe.
So, yeah.
I have it 60, 30, 10. And I think that the reason that is because they paid money for Gordon. They paid good money for him. And they're just going to have to use him because they're going to question. You know, it's going to be fans are going to question. It's like, why are you still using Lindsay as much? Sometimes money talks. I liked Lindsay last year, if you remember, and I don't think he is getting the respect he does deserve, but he's already made that vocal, like you said, Dave. Let's hope the passing game is a little bit more open to Lindsay here, but 60-30, Melvin Gordon should be a pretty good running back this year to draft. Probably high-end RB1 in my opinion. Next one, we have the Raiders. Josh Jackson was a bell cow and a half last year. I have him at 75%. I have Jalen Richard at 15%, and I have Lynn Bowden at 10%. Dave, what are your thoughts?
Pretty much right on for that one, actually. Josh Jacobs is a beast. I got him at 75. Yeah, and like you said, I do 25%, or 20% for Jalen Ricard, and then Lynn Bowden. I do like him. I think he could get more carries and looks as a third down back as the year goes on, but definitely only like 5% for him to start out the year, though.
Yep, and Lynn Bowden he's converting from wide receiver at Kentucky to running back. He's going to be more of a James White role at best. But I do agree it's going to take a while. So there you go. Take it away with the Chargers, Dave.
Sounds good. Definitely Austin Eckler is going to be your number one guy there, 75%. PPR leagues, he's going to be a beast. The number 2, number 3 is going to be a toss-up. I'd say it's going to be a split for the other 25% here between Justin Jackson and Joshua Kelly. Joshua Kelly probably is going to get more of the carries as the year goes on as well, just because he's a rookie. Justin Jackson has some experience in the offense over the last couple of years, but I look for Joshua Kelly to take over that second role probably midway through the year.
So I don't know about that. And I have Eckler at 50%, but he's also a small guy. I have Justin Jackson at 40%. I wouldn't be surprised if Justin Jackson gets more carries than Eckler. And so I'm baffled with this one. Just because Eckler's like a $190, 5'9". He's just not that back that's going to carry it from the backfield, He's not as good as Warwick Dunn, He can catch the ball, and that's where how he's sneaky. Maybe Justin Jackson does more move into that first role. I'm really, really scared about Eckler as making you think he's going to be a top back this year. Plus, he has a different quarterback. Joshua Kelly, I have at 10%, so I agree that I say watch out for him. I think Joshua Kelly could be really good. I think he's out of UCLA. And he's going to be he's going to shoot for some carries for sure, and could be better than Justin Jackson too. So another one I question. Eckler was just such a great fantasy. He was kind of like that slot receiver. They always got open and got a ton of yards, but once they move him into number one, he's like garbage. I'm concerned for Austin Eckler on that. Let's move into the AFC North, Baltimore Ravens here. I'll start, and I have Mark Ingram with 55%. J.K. Dobbins is going to overtake Gus Edwards and Justice Hill for 25%. And unfortunately, the 20% is going to be shared with Gus Edwards and Justice Hill. Running backs galore, Dave. I wish that Ingram, I could say that Ingram's going to keep his job, and J.K. Dobbins could take it from him, man. This is another tough one, right?
This is definitely a tough backfield as well. I do like Ingram to start the year at least 55 to 60%, probably closer to the 55%. I do like Dobbins a lot, actually, though. I say at least 30 to 35% for Dobbins. I say as the year goes on, it's only going to get more. Ingram's gone after this year, so Dobbins is going to be the lead back next year. So if you're in a dynasty league, definitely Dobbins is the guy you want to target. And then Justice Hill and Gus Edwards, I'd say get the remaining like 10 to 15%. But it is definitely a tough backfield to judge as well. But they are a running team, though, so they will have a lot of carries to go around.
For sure. They are a running team. There will be some carries, and Lamar Jackson takes a lot of those too. So we'll see what happens. Pittsburgh Steelers we have next. Why don't you go ahead?
Pittsburgh Steelers is an interesting one, too. James Conner coming back off an injury from last year. He never was really fully healthy last year. I do have Anthony McFarland as a number 2. I have James Conner at 65%. If he is healthy, maybe even shoot up to 70%. He's definitely the lead back there, and he could have a bounce back year. McFarland, I have at least 20 to 25%, and then the rest of the carries are going to go to Benny Snell then too as the third back.
Yeah, I have it different. I think you had Snell on our dynasty league and traded him, right? Is that what happened?
I drafted McFarland.
Oh, okay. You drafted McFarland. That's what happened. All right. So that's why you had to upgrade him for personal gain, Dave. Yeah, good one here. Now, I have James Conner at 60%, but I have Snell at 25%. I thought he was really good at Kentucky a couple years ago. And Jalen Samuels and Anthony McFarland sharing the 15%. I don't know. McFarland, he played crappy offenses. He was good, but, he also ran for Maryland. So maybe he's way better than you think. Maybe his offensive line was terrible, and he's just going to be one of those guys that shows what he has in the NFL. Like, always can happen. Next one, I have the Cleveland Browns, and I'm not going to lie, Dave. I was surprised by something I saw here, and this is going to be, it made me affect my running back power ratings. It did. I had to change them. Nick Chubb was not that involved as much the last 3, 4, or 5 games of the season. As a matter of fact, he had the same amount of snaps as Kareem Hunt did the last 4 games. And so I was like, wow. And now he did get a few more, like a point or two more per game if you average it out, but it's not much. So I moved Nick Chubb down. Yeah, down to 55% here. And I took Kareem Hunt at 40%, Dontrell Hilliard at 5%. Hunt's going to be more involved than people think. He's going to be like the Austin Eckler, in my opinion, and get a ton of points because of it, in my opinion. This is a tough one, Dave. What do you think? I
agree with you on this one, actually. Kareem Hunt did come on after when he came back from suspension. Last 4 or 5 of the weeks, he really did come on, and they did get him the ball and the passing him the ball quite a bit, or the backfield. So I got Chubb at 55, Hunt at 40, and then I would do Dontrell Hilliard and Dearness Johnson. I would split the last 5%, but I don't think they're going to see many carries with Hunt and Chubb getting a majority of them.
Agreed. Let's look at the next one. Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Mixon. What do you have, Dave?
Joe Mixon, I do like Joe Mixon a lot. I think the offense is going to be improved here. I get Mixon at 75%. Giovanni Bernard, he's always a solid guy coming out of the backfield for receptions. I got him at 20%. And then Trevon Williams, a rookie from last year, he get about 5% of the carries.
I have Mixon at 80%, so pretty dang high. And you're right. He did have a ton of those, a ton of the share there. I have Giovanni Bernard at 15%, and I guess I'm not sure if he's going to be the backup there. Was it? What did you say there, Williams?
Trevon Williams, yeah, he's a rookie last year. They were really impressed with, but he didn't really get much playing time last year.
That's right. He didn't at all, and a lot of people were high on him. But I suppose you got to put him at 5% here. Bernard's not going to get that many opportunities, and maybe he gets taken up. But for that one, I just looking at 80% for Mixon didn't make me look too far past Bernard. But maybe their handcuff will be Trevon Williams. This scares me a little bit. If you're drafting Mixon, is Bernard going to be his true handcuff, Dave?
I don't know. It's hard to say. And Bernard's getting up there in age right now, too. So he's not really as good a runner as he used to be. He's more of a receiving back out of the backfield, too, now. So that's a tough backfield to judge as well.
For sure. All right, let's move on to the next one. Houston Texans, David Johnson, 65%. Duke Johnson, 25%. And Karan Higdon, 10%. Keeping up with the Johnsons here. Try to improve. They have to prove it. The Texans have to prove that David Johnson was worth a trade for DeAndre Hopkins. That's why I have him at 65%. They're going to use the heck out of him. That's the only thing I can think. And I know Duke Johnson's there, and he's going to get some when David Johnson needs a break, at the end of the first quarter, maybe a little bit. He'll play some plays, the third quarter, type stuff, but not a lot. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, pretty close to you. I have him at David Johnson at 60, Duke Johnson at 30, and then Karan Higdon at 10%. I think they still like Duke out of the backfield. He'll get quite a few receptions for PPR leagues. So, but yeah, pretty spot on with what you had.
Tennessee Titans is next. Take it away.
All right, great. We all know Derrick Henry just signed that extension, so he's going to be a bell cow there. He's in the 75 to 80% range. De'Arrington Evans, though, a rookie I do really like. I look for him to get at least 25% there as well. And then the third back is probably going to be David Flulin. He's not going to get many carries as all. Henry had a ton of carries last year, and Evans is going to get quite a few too. That whatever they can do to get Henry some rest this year. So Flulin gets very few carries, I think, this year.
What about Dalen Dawkins?
Or Dalen Dawkins too. Neither one of those guys are going to see the ball.
Well, Dalen Dawkins was his backup last year, and he had some carries, but it was nothing like you write home about. My question is, who's the handcuff to Derrick Henry? That's going to be more important. Derrick Henry had the most carries per game, over 20 carries per game. He had the most throughout the whole year. Well, you knew that the Titans were the running team, and that's who they had. They didn't have a 2 running back system like the Ravens, right? So they have like a 4 running back system, but you know what I mean. Derrick Henry, I don't think he gets hurt, but it could happen. I mean, who the hell do I draft here? I don't know.
I'm telling you, Darrington Evans is a guy I really like here, and they've been talking him up. I really like him a lot.
All right, so I'm going to write that down. But would you? but seriously, thanks for that. But I don't know if he's the one you draft over Dalen Dawkins. I don't. Is it?
You draft over Dalen Dawkins, yes.
All right. Well, there you go, Dave. That's a huge chunk of information there. I appreciate that because Derrick Henry is going to be so important to fantasy, and I didn't know where to go with that. So thank you for that research. Next one we have is the Indianapolis Colts, and I got to tell you, I love Jonathan Taylor, and I think he will take the first 3-4 games. He's going to have more snaps than Marlon Mack. I have Jonathan Taylor at 50%. I have Marlon not return of the Mack, 35%. Poor Nyheim Hines at 15%. Taylor's just the face. He's going to be the face of this franchise because it's not going to be the quarterback. It's Phillip Rivers. He's kind of the guy that's going to be moving on. He's going to be retiring in a year or two. It's Jonathan Taylor, and we both know how great of a guy Jonathan Taylor is. He's great for the community. He literally shows up to places to work, help poor people out, showing up to events, caring about his fans. He's just a good guy. And he's exactly what the Colts need. I think he's going to take over right away. And I have him as a close second behind Clyde Edwards-Helaire for the best back coming out of the draft. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you on this. Start the year, I say 50%, but I think that could be up to 60 or 65% by the middle of the year. I look for Jonathan Taylor to overtake Mack as well, and he'll definitely be the lead guy next year after Mack is gone. So I say 60 to 65% by mid-year, and then Mack is going to get at least 30%, and then Hines will get the rest of the carries, and he's a good receiving back out of the backfield as well.
Yeah, the Colts are loaded this year. Let's see if they live up to all of the hype. They have a shot here. Last one, and certainly least, the poor Jacksonville Jaguars. We have Leonard Fournette as the running back one, 70% I have. He did have a ton of carries last year if I looked. The Chris Thompson, they picked up from Washington, 25%, and James Robinson kind of sharing with the others at 5%. I do want to mention that Fournette really faltered the last 4 games of the season last year. Okay, he did. He was like averaging in a single digit. So if you started Leonard Fournette in your playoffs, you were probably pissed. You have to draft Chris Thompson as his handcuff, especially because Leonard Fournette might be holding out this year. Dave, what are your thoughts?
I'm a little different on this one for you. Leonard Fournette, I have at 65%. He's definitely going to be their bell cow. He was last year. He had a ton of receptions last year, too, which is unheard of for him. So if you're a PPR league, he's definitely going to be valuable as well. But at second on the list, at 30%, I have Raquel Armstead. That's the second guy in line there. He's going to be the guy that's going to take over when Fournette leaves after this year, if they don't sign him to an extension. And then Chris Thompson will be the guy receiving out of the backfield. He'll get about 5 to 10%.
So Raquel Armstead, I mean, so let's see here. Where did he come from? I'm not even I haven't written down, but I didn't do a lot of research on him. He got 10 attempts on the last game of the season last year, and the other ones he had 1 attempt, 2 attempts, 0. So you think he's going to be ahead of Chris Thompson?
Yeah, because when Fournette was injured last year, he actually filled in for him that week, and he actually had a good week that Fournette was out.
He was only 10 for 33, 3.3 yards per carry.
Yeah, but if you look at his receptions, he had some big chunks of yardage and receptions.
Oh, okay. He did, and yeah, you're right. He did have some receptions, so good call on that. It was his only game he had some receptions. Well, I know Chris Thompson does it too, so this is going to be interesting. I'm not sure if there's a clear-cut handcuff yet. You think it is, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, he was out of Temple, actually. Armstead was out of Temple.
Okay.
Ricky out of Temple last year.
Yeah, I just don't remember him last year because it was week 17 that he played, right? That was after fantasy for most leagues. So I'm not in any leagues that go to week 17. So that's interesting. Raquel Armstead kind of took over. I think they benched Fournette purposely, too. I think they wanted to keep him healthy for the next year.
Yeah, he's kind of like a Le'Veon Bell. They don't really. He's on the short list there. I think. I don't think he's going to be really sticking around there for too long.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Dave. But hey, man, we already spent a ton of time talking about this 52 minutes. So, anything to add here for running backs?
No, a lot of the rookies are going to be some guys that you want to keep an eye on halfway through the year. They're going to be taking over some of these backfields, so definitely keep an eye on some of those young guys.
All right, sounds good, Dave. Thanks so much for coming back on, talking about some fantasy football here. You're in 10 leagues now. I think it was 8 or 9 in the last few years, so you keep adding them. I just don't know how you do it. But anyways, really appreciate all your insight as usual. Can't wait till the season starts and keep having you on. The next one we're going to do with you is going to be the actual draft. We're going to do 4 rounds. You don't need to sit through 10, 12, 15 rounds of draft. We're going to do the first 48 picks or so, or whatever it is, and I think that will be plenty to get us through to the football season. Thanks again, man.
All right, thank you.
All right.
One.
All right, if you guys have any questions, please tweet us at the Odds Breakers. Have a great rest of your week, and go get some winners.